I remember I was on Colbert, Stephen Colbert, and
He's a Catholic, isn't he?
he's a Catholic, yeah. And he was very gracious, and he was making fun of it as well. And I was teasing him, and he said, "Well, how do we get something from nothing?" And I thought, wow, that's a big question to try and answer in a.
Yeah.
I'm not a physicist. I've got a bit of layman's knowledge, and I did science background, so I can have a go. But I'm also conscious that
There's an audience there.
how am I going to make this funny? And
Yeah.
and I started explaining to him, right? And he said, "Yeah, but you don't know that." Oh, what do you mean? I go, well, you're just Stephen Hawking told you that. You don't know that. You've taken that on. I said, well, hold on. This is the I tried a analogy. I said, well, the thing is, right. This is why I trust science, right? If we took every science book, every fact, and destroyed them all, and of their knowledge of humanity, there was no living memory, and we did the same with every fiction, including holy books. In 1,000 years' time, those books of fiction and those holy books wouldn't be back the same, right? But the science books would be back the same because the same experiments would result in the same results. So because it's a truth, because they're a discovery, they're there, so they would be discovered again, right?
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, that's good, that's good." And
I think I've seen it. I think you got a round of applause.
Which seems odd, like there was a win.
It wasn't even a gag.
There can't be a win.
No, it wasn't like a big gag. It was
No.
like a sort of philosophical point for which you got a round of applause.
But I was frustrated because I couldn't straight away answer the question, how do you get something from nothing? But that's what science does. Science just says, this is what we know so far. And I hate that criticism that, again, getting back to Twitter, but they say things like, well, science has been wrong before. Well, no, it hasn't, because it's a discipline, right? What you mean is a bloke who said he was a scientist 400 years ago said the earth was flat, But that wasn't science. That wasn't science.
And the point is, all the theories that we have at the moment are approximations, we think, to a better theory. So Einstein's general theory of relativity, we know that in order to even begin to be able to answer the question, how did the universe begin, we know that we need a quantum theory of gravity.
Exactly.
And we don't have one. So there's a famous statement that all models are wrong. These are models that allow you to predict the outcome of experiments.
But they're the least wrong they've been every day that passes.
They are. So
that's it.
But I think this idea that you don't have absolute truths in science. There are some facts, like
or
the
morality,
Earth goes round
which is
the
another
sun.
one that's an upshot of it. Exactly. Yeah.
So there are some things that we know, but the theories we have are models, and so it's a humble pursuit, and that's where the value is. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. But it's not a search for absolutes. It's not a search for anything really. It's an observe nature. Try and understand how it works.
Science works. That's it. And we are going to improve on the theories and the information and the knowledge. And then, as Richard Dawkins said, you can't win, because when people say the missing link, they mean the link between this one and that one. When they find that link, they've created two more missing links, either side of that one in the middle. So you can't win, but that's what exploration is, and that's that.
But one of the most interesting things about quantum theory is that it does rely on uncertainty, and it does rely on probability. It does paint a picture of a world about which you cannot be certain.
Well, it relies on probability,
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me the more I understand about quantum theory, which is not very much, is that it paints a world in which
you can get rid of it, though.
Reality is entirely probability.
You can get rid of that in what's called the many worlds interpretation of quantum theory, which is this idea that everything does happen. So there is a world in which every decision you make, that branch of the world is real. So that actually is one way of interpreting the theory such that you get rid of the probability.